ambassadors. Why? The industry is growing. The hazards associated with them, the risk that the growth may come with, will also increase. So chemical sales, for example, are projected to almost double from 2017 to 2030. Double. In fact, the production and use of chemicals continue to grow worldwide, particularly in developing countries. Now take note of what is happening now. Okay, more chemicals are being used, and the use is occurring mostly in developing countries. What are they developing? Okay, look, the development includes the development of the brain, or the development of the capacity of the brain, the achievement. The brain is so sophisticated that we don't have any chemical any computer that's as powerful. But there's the likelihood that so many people they don't optimize the power of their brain. And so when we are looking at redeveloping, one of the things we should develop is our brain. And for us who are students, reading is one of them. Capacity for reading. What volume of document can you read within the shortest possible time and still be able to grasp it enough to be able to work with it or move with it? Because the world is looking at. So people say that, it is not about learning that somebody become rich, or it is not about what you read and things like that. Look, how many people did in school and they are really rich? Even in Ghana here, you can easily count them. Most of the powerful people who move business are readers. Yes, they are readers. In Ghana here, people will mention few, maybe people are here, they say that the evening school, I don't know whether it's true. Maybe they will talk about test bank, they will talk about Transverse Fight and all those people. But how many can you count 10 people? You see, if somebody doesn't progress by way of education and the person excels, then that person should be celebrated to encourage, because there are so many people who didn't have opportunity to school. But it doesn't take away the fact that enlightenment is what actually brings about a great wealth. Those who schooled properly, Kwame Nkrumah and co, don't you realize that Kwame Nkrumah can be somebody who will look like somebody who is 500 years older than us? Have you read some of his documents? He was brainy. And we really have many people here who could even be greater than Kwame Nkrumah. But if you settle with the fact that we don't like reading, then there's going to be a problem. So let us look at it carefully. The hazards are growing. The chemical hazards are growing. They need for us to be able to handle them very well, because they will lead to negative effects if they are not properly managed. So when you manage them properly, then we will be safe. So one can say that there may not be something wrong with chemical per se, but sometimes how we manage chemicals is what matters. And how will we manage them properly if we are not told to do so, or if we are not inspired to do so? And this issue for us in Africa is so critical. For us in developing countries, it's so critical. Why? Once upon a time, when approximately 80% of chemicals which were manufactured were used in developed countries. Okay, there was a time 80% of the chemicals which were manufactured were used in developed countries. What happened? More than 50% of exposure-induced mortalities was rather reported in developing countries. Let's go back. 80% of the chemicals were used in developed countries. More than 50% of the mortalities were recorded in developing countries. I don't know whether you are connecting the concepts. I don't know whether you are trying to figure out things for yourself. 80% were used elsewhere. So in other words, we use only 20% here. And we suffered more than 50% of the consequences, or abuse, maybe misuse them. Look at this side of the story. Okay, look at this side of the story. The production and use of chemical continue to grow worldwide, particularly. So the production and the use is growing worldwide, particularly in developing countries. Now, at a point, 80% okay, of the chemicals were produced and used in developed countries. We suffered more than 50%. Now that we are producing more right here, what do you think will happen? Chobai. That is why you have to. So my question is, what do you think is happening or is going to happen? So now that we are talking, what do you think is happening? Or what do you think is going to happen? So remember, the production and use of chemical continue to grow worldwide, particularly in developing countries. Once you are really thinking of what answer to give as to what is going to happen, now that we are producing more of it here, the teacher will ask you a question. What is the way forward? What is the way forward? What we need, according to the WHO 2020, is multi-sectoral action. Multi-sectoral action. When people produce chemicals, they should not hide their content. They should not hide the information about it, especially to the people that we say they are vigilante. We have people that we say they are toxico-vigilant. And those people could be experts with background in occupational health or environmental health or environmental safety, public health, biological science, chemistry. All these people could major in those areas, and they are supposed to help us take charge of what is happening in our society. So we need a multi-sectoral, all areas. We should work together. It's as if when we work in isolation, we will fall. When we come together, we will be able to achieve something, we will stand. So they say we need to explore the scientific evidence and risk management recommendations. Yes, some risk management recommendations have been made. Some research science or research has been done and information has been generated. To be able to actually explore this evidence and the risk management recommendations, we need a considerable amount of knowledge. Okay, but for now, what do we know? Okay, what do we know? Now we know that there are more than 150 million chemicals which are known to humans. Maybe in areas like this, the chemists will be having so much going in their mind. Or even the biochemists. 160 million chemicals are known to humans. About 3 decades ago, it was noted that there were about 100,000 different chemicals which were being used globally. About 3 decades ago. In 1994, it was found that in the US alone, about 70 different chemicals were being used. And according to the recent reports, just 2020, we also know that approximately 40,000 to 60,000 of the known chemicals can still be found in commerce. So it means we have a lot of chemicals in the system. Of these chemicals that we know, about 6,000 constitute over 99% of the total volume of chemicals which are found around the world. In 2016, for example, a small number of chemicals for which data are available were estimated to cause 1.6 million deaths. 1.6 million deaths. And then again, what are the causes of those deaths? Are they preventable or things like that? Anyway, we know from the literature that the deaths resulted from diverse health outcomes like poisoning, heart diseases, chronic respiratory diseases, and cancers. Cancers. Once upon a time, not long ago, there are certain anomalies or certain medical conditions that were not associated with Africa. Cancer was one of them. How many cancers did we have maybe earlier on? But now we have skin cancer, we have throat cancer, we have lung cancer, blood cancer, almost every type of cancer. Why? So which people would want from here would want to actually go into the association between the proliferation of chemicals and the cancer situation that we have? Because sometimes you get to final year, maybe you are an environmentalist, you are a public health person, you say, I do not have project topic. How can you live in a developing country, go from first year to final year, and you don't have project topic? Chemists, biologists, physicists, environmentalists, public health personnel. I've seen one public health person trying to cover the piece. Do you also feel shy? Maybe you are an agriculturalist. Because there's so much to be explored, and that we need you. You can't finish school in a developing country and say you don't have anything to do. If you say, okay, nobody has employed you, that's one we can understand. But to say, I don't have anything to do, maybe you have a reason. Maybe during the discussions time, you can talk about some of them. So chemical pollutions are also negatively impacting the ecosystem. Yes. The ecosystem, natural part, the ecosystem is supposed to be a self-sustaining unit. It takes human beings to bring the balance or the sustenance. In actual fact, if you take human beings out of the planet, the world will go on with every other living organism maybe being left intact. When you keep humans here without anybody to regulate one another, we can destroy everything. Sometimes when you hear that the world is going to come to an end, what do they say? It's because of unrighteousness. What's the meaning of righteousness? Doing the right thing. In actual fact, if God is not going to judge and destroy the world, if we don't control how things are done, still the world will come to an end. Remember, we human beings, we can cut the last tree. And when you cut the last tree, what happens? Or we can pollute the last tree. These days, how many of the wild fruits do you find in your community? Have you not polluted them already? Or maybe your neighbor, has he not polluted? Certain chemical hazards are of key health concern due to one, their widespread presence in the environment. Others because of their toxicity, and then actually the capacity to magnify. Sometimes you just introduce it bit by bit, and then with time they magnify, they accumulate, and then they cause problem. And so we said, oh, in actual fact, I don't know what the agri extension officers will bring on board during the discussion, but it's possible they come across people who would want to just add small of maybe certain chemicals or maybe a certain fertilizer or something. Sometimes the very small that you are adding is actually what is needed to pollute the environment. Then another reason is that many humans are easily get exposed to those chemicals, and so it can harm the human population. And so, and then if you want to come to let's say terrorism, for example, chemicals are used also there. But the terrorists, are they properly trained people or children, or maybe people who were not trained? We said that the conference teaches a moral lesson. Alright? Did you know in every household there should be a father and a son? Every child which is brought into this world should be managed by the one who brought the person. And that is why if the person dies, family members step in, or family members are supposed to step in. How come that somebody is alive and has children and doesn't even know where the children are? What if your child is going to be the next a member of a terrorist group? And what if you are the very first person that they will attack with, they will shoot your plane when you are traveling? Look, the problem of humans are caused by humans. If we can really look at things carefully, you hear of men saying that the cockerel, the offspring don't follow it. And so because of that, a man can just be giving birth and be going away. A human being, you are comparing yourself to a bird and you didn't choose the eagle, which actually finds a partner and marries and maintains that for 70 years that it will live. You are comparing yourself to a bird which has wings and can't even fly just 1 mile. Wow! Can you imagine that one? A man, you are comparing yourself to, you see, human beings are higher animals, okay? But assuming you want to compromise and compare yourself to a bird, should you stoop so low and pass the eagle to go and compare yourself to a cockerel? It can't fly. Can it fly from here to a Mampong, a town? It can't. With all those lazy.